Mohan Yadav is the Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister, who was given his blessings by a very unenthusiastic looking Mamaji.
The cruelest thing about all this was that all these announcements were made like Vasundhara has chosen, Shivraj Singh has given his name. So, मतलब उनके मुंह से निकलवा रहे हो उनकी.
Rajasthan to an extent is also understandable. But BJP winning this big in Madhya Pradesh, I don't think even BJP expected.
We've been seeing campaigning on things like forest rights or, the Congress doing its anti-Adani sort of narrative in Delhi. But then, Chhattisgarh is still like a major, one of the few money bags for party.
Now, coming to what happened in UAE.
There were 100,000 people that were registered to attend. So part of that is, one of the bits that a lot of nerds and cop geeks are a bit annoyed with is the fact that, you're seeing these extremely long queues. It's turned into a bit of a trade fair. But the actual substance of it is going over various iterations of text and countries fighting over to see what they want to see or not.
I think one of the big successes of America is that it's the biggest oil producer in the world and still it is not seen as a petrostate. I think that just shows its magnificent achievement, which is why I don't think China can ever be America, India can ever be America, because they've cracked it all on all sides. So we can hate it, but I think at least in the foreseeable future, they will determine the direction of the world.
The climate is a very, very sort of like niche area, even in Western Europe where you have green parties, right? So in India, there is no party which mobilizes on climate. Once they begin mobilizing, it can become an issue. Politics is created both from the top as well as from the bottom. Sometimes issues don't exist, but leaders create those issues.
Welcome to Chhota Hafta. Now, Chhota Hafta is but a small Chhota version of a complete weekly podcast, News Laundry Hafta. The News Laundry Hafta is where you get the week's news, what made the headlines, what didn't make the headlines, but the full version is available to subscribers only. And I don't mean YouTube subscribers, although YouTube subscribers are also very welcome, very, very grateful to you, but also to News Laundry subscribers, the paying subscribers who pay to keep news free. So you can also become a paying subscriber by clicking the subscription link. Now, what do you get if you're a paying subscriber? You get access to all our paywall content, all interviews, podcasts, and importantly, you get access to a full unedited Hafta, where you not only get to hear the week's news, but you get to hear the News Laundry editors' positions on matters. You get to see their biases, what are their prejudices. It's an exercise in transparency while also informing you, and we have a few quips and jokes and agreements and disagreements thrown in. So listen to the full Hafta, subscribe to News Laundry, and pay to keep news free. Here we go.
अंग्रेज अपना लगान और न्यूज़ लॉन्ड्री अपना हफ्ता कभी नहीं छोड़ते. Welcome to the 463rd episode of Hafta from now an officially cold Delhi. Winter is upon us and the air is a little cleaner, so thank God for that. Joining me in the studio today is Manisha.
Hello.
Who has just recorded Nuisance today and she got great material.
Yes, just when we were worried that it'll be a slow news week and we may be a bit boring.
Then
reporters did.
For unemployed youth made sure that it wasn't a slow news week.
Actually, it's not the unemployed youth. It's the very much employed media that made it such a spectacle for us to cover.
More than the protesters. Joining us online from Chennai is Jayashree. Hi, Jayashree.
Hello.
Also joining us online is Rahul Verma. Hi, Rahul.
Hi.
You may have already heard Rahul on Hafta before. We've had him in the past, and also he was on election day, on the results day, he was at the India Today studio. He's a fellow at the Center for Policy Research, and he's visiting assistant professor in the Department for Political Science at Ashoka University. So we can't wait to hear what you have to say about what the election has thrown up and the choices of Chief Minister, if at all you have a take on that. So welcome, Rahul.
Thank you.
Also joining us online is Aruna Chandrasekhar. Hi, Aruna.
Hi, how's it going?
Well, getting on. Aruna, as many of our listeners and viewers will already be aware, is an independent journalist and researcher. She writes on issues of corporate accountability, climate change, land rights, and environmental conflict. Before we get into the discussions, I have a News Laundry Christmas offer. Ho, ho, ho! I'm doing a Santa thing, by the way. I'm Santa Claus. So News Laundry is running a Christmas offer from the 15th of December to 31st of December. Ho, ho, ho! The offer is on 2 News Laundry merch hampers. We get a special deal. So not only can you get some fantastic gifts for others, because on Christmas you should give gifts. Ho, 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 because I'm not going to give you. To know more about and avail the offer, you can go to the show notes and click on the link, Christmas offer, or just go to newslaundry.com and check out the Christmas offer. So let's get with the elections first.
So over the past week, the BJP has announced its chief ministers in Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh. All three are seeing new faces. In Chhattisgarh, we have Vishnu Deosai. In Rajasthan, we have Bhajan Lal Sharma. And in Madhya Pradesh, we have Mohan Yadav.
So Rahul, purely anecdotally, I was in Rajasthan last weekend, and some people that I know there who are not the traditional BJP voter, but they were all overwhelmingly women, said that, we've all voted BJP because we think Vasundhara should be chief minister. We need a woman chief minister, be like Vasundhara. Of course, I'm sure it helped that they were also,
Rajput.
yeah.
Weren't they happy with Diya Kumari?
But they were quite upset that she has not been made chief minister. And I was wondering that is there a significant number of people who voted Vasundhara? Is there even a way to decide or figure out through data that did people vote for Modi or for Vasundhara or for BJP or for Ladli or for Mamu or whatever else it is?
So short answer is it's very hard even for people who vote to be able to figure out what they voted on. The reason why I'm saying this, we have one way of rationalization. The act of vote is one, but a lot of things go into anyone's mind when they're voting, right? Like as you mentioned about while they were thinking of women, they were also Rajputs, right? So in some ways, lots of complex things happen in voting decisions. But people who study voting behavior, they try to distill each of these factors separately. All of them combined, we don't know how much each of these factors make up. But for example, in surveys, people are asked, do you vote on your local candidate? Do you look at the party, or do you look at the state national level leadership? And there is sort of like nationally 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 division if you remove the no opinion, right? So these things matter to people. To me, any election outcome is basically a combination of at least 5 things, which is...
I haven't been and I haven't gone to Chhattisgarh in a few years, but I mean, at least being in touch with people on ground, and also, I mean, being around for, the 2014 as well as 2018 elections. And the fact that, the Congress had campaigned very much on saying on Adivasi issues, on land rights, on mining, especially in particular belts, where it had promised to not further expand, mining in Hasdi Oran, for instance. And that was one of the track to mobilize voters. And then it came into power and it did exactly the same thing.
Right.
But is it also true that the Congress lost a bunch of its tribal votes in Chhattisgarh also because they were trying to project this entire thing of Bhupesh Baghel as this proud Hindu? There's a video of him diving into a river or something. So
yeah, trying
to sort of beat this Hindutva game, but in the process really alienating what was once, I suppose, a lot of its vote banks and like Bastar and all.
Rahul, I had, payload this theory that I do on Hafta every now and then, something or the other. I don't believe that politics by and large, people vote on any issue. It is a person. We are living in the age of social media stars. Influencer is the key. So I think Modi's charisma, if he says everyone stand on your head, you'll stand on your head. You Pito Thali, he doesn't. So I think it is that and identity. I genuinely believe that very few, the people who decide are just deciding if they like the guy or not. And that depends completely on the persona.
I disagree with that theory. See, Modi is here today. He wasn't with BJP or leader of BJP 15 years ago. BJP still had 18% vote. And tomorrow, if Modi goes, BJP might be at 40% or come down to 15 or 18%. What does that tell you? That there is a 15 to 20% of votes, which is always going to stick with BJP, whether Modi is around or not. Why are those people with BJP?
Manisha, my question to you is, Why do you think Vasundhara and Mamu weren't made? Is it because Modi doesn't want another Modi emerging in 10-15 years?
So if just the CSTS post-poll survey actually had some interesting data on this, where they asked people whether you voted for Modi or you voted for the CM. So Modi was a big factor among BJP voters. But interestingly, with the CM choices, when they asked in each state, who do you want your CM to be? And they gave a choice like Diya Kumari, Vasundhara, someone else. The BJP voters across these 3 states stuck with the popular faces. So they said Vasundhara, Mama and Raman Singh. But the overall voters didn't seem to care, which means the BJP voters, the Congress, the guys who voted for everyone. So which means that...
Now, coming to what happened in UAE, can you tell us 3 things that we should be optimistic about and 3 things that disappoint you from what has emerged in COP28? Is there something to be said that the what you call statement had to be done and redone, and all sorts of lame excuses are given that the first one was a test case, now that is the final?
I mean, there are successive iterations. We have on Carbon Brief something called a negotiations text tracker. So for each of these subjects, whether that is adaptation, how quickly can you adapt to like the sort of damages that we are seeing or the climate impacts, or for all of this, each produces a whole bunch of different texts, right? And countries fight over them and they have to arrive at a decision. So there are multiple iterations of everything. And that's the point of having COPs in the first place. It's not the circus. But at the same time, none of this is particularly binding, right? So essentially, the nature of the Paris Agreement is everybody does what they want back in that is your nationally determined nature. Right. So another thing which was like a big deal was like the fact that developing countries were also like, hey, can we have a conversation about trade? Right. Because like the US has its Inflation Reduction Act. There are all of these green trade wars where, suddenly the EU and the US are concerned about green development. So they are thinking, and like developing countries will be like, oh, now you're on the development brigade. But what does that mean in terms of trade barriers, right? On China, on India, on countries that like produce cocoa or coffee, right? If you're saying that we don't want deforestation tied with this thing, or we want you to have low emissions like steel or aluminum production. So those are things from the outside which are not in the climate conversation. Those are in the trade conversation. So developing countries wanted to see that sort of being discussed here.
I thought it was very strange that one of the most out of touch people in the world gave an opening address at COP28. I mean, he's not an elected head of government or anything. It was King Charles, who said he was so worried about there being more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere today. And like, this is the man for whom 3 private jets left from the UK to head to COP28. There's one for Rishi Sunak, one for David Cameron, and one for King Charles, because God forbid that Rishi Sunak and Cameron share a plane with somebody else.
बस मुफ्त में इतना ही मिलेगा. For the full uncut podcast, subscribe to News Laundry and pay to keep news free. The best way to listen to The Hafta and indeed all our podcasts is through the News Laundry app. You can download the app by clicking on the links given in the show notes. So do download our app and get the best podcast experience. And also pay for news and support a new news media ecosystem that News Laundry is trying to encourage, where we are accountable to you because we run on contributions that you make. We don't take government ads, we don't take corporations ads, so that news serves the public, because when the public pays, the public is served. Subscribe to News Laundry, click on the link in the show notes below and proudly say, I pay to keep news free.